Oh, boys and girls, you're going to love our mentor text this week. It is a true story about a sled dog named Akiak, and it is a tale from the Iditarod. The Iditarod is a dog sled race all through Alaska. And when you open the book, it shows you a map of Alaska, and it is shows you the route that the sled dogs take for this Iditarod race. And it's just a really good story, so I know you'll be excited. Day one, Akiak knew it. The other dogs knew it too. Are you curious to know what it is? Some had run it many times, and others had never run it at all, but not a dog wanted to be left behind. So these are all the dogs in the dog race. There's Chug, Big Boy, Flinty, Akiak, Roscoe, can't read that one, Squinty, and Comet. All right. Now that's just a preview, and this is the story of Akiak, a tale from the Iditarod. It was Iditarod race day. 1,151 miles of wind, snow, and rugged trail laid ahead from Alaska to Nome. So this Iditarod race, this dog race, is over 1,000 miles. Akiak had led the team through 7 races and knew the trail better than any dog. She had brought them in 5th, 3rd, and 2nd, but had never won. She was 10 years old now. This was her last chance. Now, they must win now. Crack! The race was underway. One by one, 58 teams took off for Nome. Day 2. Come on, old girl, show 'em how, Mick called. Yah, yah! Mick worked the 16-dog team through Akiak, calling, yah, when she needed the dogs to turn left and gee to go right. Mick was the musher, but the team followed the lead dog. So this is the musher. Okay, this is the team of dogs. Mick was the musher, but the team followed the lead dog. The team followed Akiak. Through steep climbs and dangerous descents, icy waters and confusing trails, Akiak always found the safest and fastest way. She never got lost. Very smart dog. Day 3. Akiak, Squinty, Big Boy, Flinty, Roscoe, and the rest of the team pounded across the snow for 3 days. The dogs were ready to break out, but Mick held them back. There was a right time, but not yet. So the musher kept them in control so they wouldn't get too tired. High in the Alaska Range, they caught up to Willie Ketchum in 3rd place. It was his team that had beaten them by just 1 minute last year. Following the rules, Willie pulled over and allowed Mick's team to pass. That old dog's never gonna make it, he laughed at Akiak across the biting wind. She'll be waiting for you at Nome, Mick vowed. Day 4. High in the mountains, they passed tall Tim Brunzi's team and moved into 2nd place. Just after Takota, Mick's team made its move. They raced by Whistlin' Perry's team to take over 1st place. Ketchum made his move too. His team clung to Mick like a shadow. Akiak and her team now had to break trail through deep snow. Break trail means they're on the snow path that no one's been before. So they're having to break the snow that's been, since it snowed, no one's gone on the path. So that's a little harder to do. It was tough going. By the checkpoint, Akiak was limping. Uh-oh. The deep snow had jammed up one of her paw pads and made it sore. Mick tended to her at Ketchum as Ketchum raced by and took 1st place from them. So they had to stop and she had to take care of the paw, Mick did. You can't run on that paw, oh girl, Mick said. With a day's rest, it will heal, but the team can't wait here a day. We've got to go on without you. You'll be flown home. Akiak. Roscoe took Akiak's place at the lead. Remember, this was going to be Akiak's last chance to run this race, and now her paw's hurt, and she's being sent home. Day 5. By morning, most of the other dogs had passed through the checkpoint. The wind was building and the pilot was in a hurry to leave. Akiak tore at the leash as the volunteer brought her to the plane. Akiak did not want to get on this plane and go home. Get that dog in here, the pilot hollered. I want to get out of here before the storm hits. Akiak jumped and pulled and snapped. All she wanted to do was get back on the trail, to run, to win. Then all at once, the wind gusted, the plane shifted, and Akiak twisted out of the handler's grip. And by the time they turned around, Akiak had escaped and was gone. Day 6. Akiak ran while the storm became a blizzard. She knew that Mick and the team were somewhere ahead of her. The wind took away the scent and the snow took away the trail, but still she knew the way. She ran and she ran until the blizzard became a whiteout. Then she could run no more. While Mick and the team took refuge in Galena, 7 hours ahead, Akiak burrowed into a snowdrift to wait out the storm. Remember, she had a sore paw. In the morning, the mound of snow came alive and out pushed Akiak. She was buried in the snow, and she came out of it. Day 7. Word had gotten out to everyone that Akiak was loose. Trail volunteers knew that an experienced lead dog would stick to the trail. They knew she'd have to come through Analacalit, I don't know how to say that city. She did. 6 hours after Mick and the team had left, Akiak padded softly, cautiously into the checkpoint. Her ears alert, her wet nose sniffed the air. The team had been there, she could tell. Suddenly, cabin doors flew open. 5 volunteers fanned out and tried to grab the dog. Akiak zagged around their every zig and took off down the hill. She escaped all of them because she was after her team. Call ahead, a man shouted. Day 8. At Shakutulik, Mick dropped 2 more dogs and raced out, still hours ahead of Akiak. So as they went along on the Iditarod race, they dropped some of the dogs and made their team smaller because the dogs would be getting tired. Hungry now, it had been 2 days since she had eaten. Akiak pounded over the packed trail. For thirst, she drank out of the streams, the ice broken through by the sled teams. She struggled into Shakutulik in the late afternoon. 3 men spotted her and chased her right into the community hall where some mushers were sleeping. Tables overturned and coffee went flying. Then one musher opened the back door and she escaped. The musher said, "Go find him, girl." He let her go. He knew she wanted to find her team. At Koyuk, Akiak raided the musher's discarded pile for food. No one came after her. At Elam, people put food out for her. Almost everyone was rooting for Akiak to catch her team. So everyone knew she was loose and out running to find her team, and so instead of trying to capture her now, they kept giving her food so that she would have the strength to go on. Day 9. Akiak had been out there almost the whole journey by herself. Mick rushed into White Mountain, 22 minutes behind Ketchum. Here the teams had to take an 8-hour layover to rest. Everybody had to stop for 8 hours before the final dash for Nome and the finish line. Mick dropped Big Boy and put Young Comet in his place. The team was down to 8 dogs. Remember, they started with 16, now they're down to 8, with 77 miles to go. Akiak pushed on. When her team left White Mountain at 6 p.m., Akiak was running through Golovin, just 2 hours behind. She was catching up with them. A crowd lined the trail to watch her run through the town. Day 10. Screaming winds threw bitter cold at the team as they fought their way along the coast. Then, halfway to the checkpoint called Safety, they came upon a maze of snowmobile tracks. The lead dogs lost their trail. They had no idea which way was to the finish line. Oh, Mick squinted through the snow, looking for any sign. There, going right, she recognized Ketchum's trail. "Gee, gee," she called, "go right." But the dogs wouldn't go. They wandered about, tangling up their lines. Mick straightened them out and worked the team up the hill, and at the top they stopped short. Something was blocking the trail. "Akiak!" Mick called. She ran to her usual spot at the harness, waiting to be hooked in. "I'm sorry, old girl," said Mick. "The rules say I can't put you back in the harness, or we'll be disqualified. Get in the sled." But instead, Akiak circled the lead dogs, pushing them and barking at them. "What is it, girl? What is it?" Akiak ran back down the hill. Mick laughed. Ketchum's team had taken the wrong trail. She turned her team around and rushed them down to Akiak, who jumped into the sled. "Take us to Nome," Mick called to her. So Akiak was the only one that knew the right way to the finish line. Mick first heard the noise a mile outside of Nome. At first she wasn't sure what it was. It grew so loud that she couldn't hear the dogs. It was a roar, a rumble. She was so tired after 10 days mushing along that trail, she couldn't tell which. And then she saw the crowd, and she heard the cheers, and people had come from everywhere to see the courageous dog that had run the entire Iditarod race alone. As sure as if she had been in the lead position, Akiak won the Iditarod race. Nothing was going to stop this dog from winning, Mick told the crowd. Akiak knew it. The other dogs knew it too. And so, Akiak, who didn't really get to finish the race as the lead dog, but on the sled, finished the race and helped her team win. Oh, such a good story. We have lots of cool things for you to do today. So click on to your next activity because you're going to draw something. Now, I would like you to click on the button now and tell me if you loved this story or not as your response.